Yes, it's on. Correct.
Greenwich Township Committee, regular meeting, August 21st, 2014. Members present: Baylis?
Yes.
Emiliani?
Yes.
Adams?
Yes.
Fleury?
Yes.
Torriello?
Yes.
Adequate notice.
Adequate notice of this meeting was given in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act by mailing the schedule of the Township Committee to the Express Times and North Star Ledger newspaper, posting a copy on the Township Bulletin Board, and filing a copy with the Township Clerk. So now we want to make a motion to go into executive session regarding...
Can we also can you start amending your notices and also say that it's also posted on the Township webpage as to the bulletin board, or no?
I could add that.
Yeah, but you do that, right? That was done. I saw the email,
Yeah,
right?
it's on there.
Okay, all right. So anyway, I'll make the motion to go into executive session.
Regarding?
Oh, thank you. Oh my God. This is my first time doing this?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. A motion to go into executive session to discuss shared court services, firehouse lease, status of litigation regarding Warren County Prosecutor's Office, Route 57, and potential litigation of Arbor Drive, tabling a discussion on the shared police services.
Tabling.
Tabling.
Next time you second it? Okay. Baylis? Emiliani?
Yes.
Adams?
Yes.
Fleury?
Yes.
Torriello?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry about that, guys. Oh, I don't
Motion
know.
to come out of executive session?
Make the motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Still there, Elaine?
Yes, I'm still here.
Elaine, would you like to be excused now?
But I have one issue tonight, and I just need to...
Okay, and if you want, we could take everything out of order and just start with you and Community Day.
You can...
Let's do that.
Okay.
And then when you get to the point, you can simply just,
All right.
excuse yourself.
Actually, but you know, I may want to...
So I'm happy to do that.
Okay.
I've got a bit of familiarity sometime with the map. Some of the things on there. But I got it pretty well figured out.
Elaine still on?
Yes.
Yeah.
Call the regular meeting to order.
Mike, did you send us something from your office?
Okay, regular township meeting of the Greenwich Township Committee, August 21st, 2014. Members present: Baylis,
Yes.
Miliani,
Yes.
Adams,
Yes.
Fleury,
Yes.
Torriello.
Yes.
Please rise to the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, let's just take things out of order for Elaine, and let's jump to discussion on Community Day.
Okay, we have the two contracts. One is for cruising, which is the car show, and we know that Doris Ray has given permission for the cars to be parked on her lot, and I believe we need to look at signing the contract, and if there's a deposit, to send a deposit with it. I haven't seen the contract. Tom has been working with it.
Yeah, I sent it to Frank. Did you get a copy? Wasn't attached? All right. There was an attachment to the one that Steve had sent, and I forwarded it to Frank, but he says there's no attachment, and I thought I'll get it to him.
Okay, and then we have the large flower heads who are going to be the band who are coming. I know that contract was also sent to Frank for review, so I don't know where it stands, but we need to get it signed and executed as quickly as possible.
Do you have that, Frank? The band, flower heads, and contracts for the band for Community Day? Yeah.
So do we need to have a motion authorizing me to sign it subject to attorney's approval?
Attorney review.
Somebody want to make that
I'll
motion?
make the motion.
I'll second.
Comment? Roll call?
Yes.
Okay.
Right. I'll
Comment?
make the motion.
Roll call?
I like the Falcons. Yes.
Miliani,
Yes.
Adams,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Warren,
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
The other thing was, we've executed the farmland leases. I just wanted to make sure that the township is held harmless and that each one of the farmers who are farming each of the properties supplies an insurance waiver. And I am not clear that we have insurance waivers from every farmer that's doing business. Whether we're receiving money or not, there should be a land lease, a lease to do the property, and there should be a hold harmless waiver on there from their insurance company. So I've talked to John Drill, I've talked to Bob Canase. They haven't really gotten anywhere with discussions that I see. So I want to put it on the record that we need to follow up on this.
Okay, and that's going to be followed up by whom? By Kim? By John?
It's got to be
By
followed
Bob?
up by Kim, with John, Bob Canase, and every one of the farmers. In addition to that, I've had several discussions with both John Drill and Canase about the property behind Lowe's. That property should be farmed as well until we're ready to use it. Right now, it just looks like a junk area. And we're putting another proposal together for that farmer who is farming 100 acres to include those 14 acres.
Okay. I think if we're dealing with hold harmless agreements, that should come from Drill.
Yes, I agree, but the farmers are saying that they have them in their existing leases, but I have not been able to ascertain from John if that's true or not.
But if they do, then they can produce another copy. So rather than them saying it's,
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
in there, they can reproduce it. So, do we need a motion to authorize, Drill to secure these hold harmless agreements?
I would say yes, but I don't know what Kim's role is in having these leases,
Well, why don't we have Kim,
paying the insurance, the insurance certificates is here.
let's do it this way. Kim, why don't you send the letter first, copy Drill. If you don't get a response, then we can, okay. Do it that way because it'll be cheaper first and see
Exactly.
how you make out. Okay.
I don't have my agenda in front of me. I'm not sure what else I have on there.
Crossing light. Update on the crossing light.
The only other thing is that Mike, with 305 Hamilton, the sewer grade still not fixed. We did talk about it earlier in the year. I don't know where we are.
We are, we've looked at it as far as options relative to solutions, if you will. There's a couple ways to skin the cat there. One is just to close off the structure completely, which I'm a little reluctant to do because it is an active inlet.
Right.
Second would be close it off, convert it to a manhole, and relocate an inlet. I talked to the DPW guys about it. Obviously, it's probably beyond their scope, to be honest.
Yes.
And I've had one contractor go out to take a look at it. I didn't get into any fancy engineering design plans because I was just kind of wanted to have somebody that's going to do the work go out and advise what they thought would be the cheapest but most effective solution.
Correct.
And actually, that was Wayne Wilbur excavating. He went out and looked at it a couple months. It's got to be a couple months now. A while ago, 6 weeks or more. And I have not heard back from him, but that's my fault for not following up. So I will touch base with him. I have a note already, Elaine, from your email.
Yeah, and if you could, just let the resident know something because I sent you a copy of the email that I received.
Yes.
in regards to, the response. So just let her know that we're working on it.
Nope, that's more than fair, no problem.
Okay.
Well, I'll copy you, of course.
Okay, great. I don't think I have anything else.
The crossing light,
Do I have anything else on the agenda? I don't have it in front of me.
The crossing light, the
DPW, we all got an email from Joe Maxey, speaking about the crossing light being fixed. I also noticed that there had been something wrong with on the opposite side, and Joe mentioned that it could be the cloudiness, it could be the trees, so we're going to keep an eye on the trees that are planted very close to this solar powered light there, so that we can determine whether or not the tree needs to be cut back, or in fact the battery is going on that one as well.
Elaine, can I interject, if you don't mind?
Sure.
Kim reached out to me about with the situation with the tree. And I was a little confused because I knew we were working on the other one, which has no trees around.
Correct.
I ended up talking to Joe, and obviously the one that was the problem, which is further east, has been fixed and is working fine with the new battery. The one further west, closer to 22, the problem with that is the tree cover blocking the sun from...
That's what I suspected, Mike.
So, I then called the county to ask them, because it's in a county right away, if we could cut the tree down. Joe says he's trimmed the limbs back quite extensively, but it still didn't.
yes, he's here.
Oh.
Yeah, it still isn't,
I didn't see him, the podium's in the way.
it's still not getting enough, sunlight to the battery.
All right, so the county's response is, it's probably all right, but you need to file a permit application to remove the tree with the County Shade Tree Commission. So, I mean, nothing is...
I know. It's remarkable.
We could do it before the start of school?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Mike, I'm going to hold it to the
Oh, wait, the start of school.
When is
That's
the
fine.
week?
When is the start of school?
Next week. Week and a half.
Pretty soon.
That's pretty aggressive.
I retract my...
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Enthusiastic...
Maybe next year.
You're right. As I'm shaking my head no, and he's like, yeah, absolutely. I'm like, no.
Thanks for making me laugh today, Mike.
Well, you're welcome.
you're going to file for the permit?
It's
we
a
should.
simple thing. And at least get the permit, then let's see if you want to cut the tree down.
Okay.
At least we'll be able to cut the tree down. Let's hope they agree to they allow us to cut the tree down, which I suspect they will.
Okay.
Okay, so
So you're going to file the permit to the permit?
we'll submit the permit. It's simple.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
That's all that I have.
Okay. Anyone have anything for Elaine? All right, thank you, Elaine.
Thanks.
Okay, guys, good night,
Feel
thank
better.
you.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night, Elaine.
Okay. Back to, can I have a motion for the payment of bills in the amount of $401,576.62?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second, but one discussion point on the bills.
Okay.
I'm noticing some of them high dollar values that don't have requests on them. So, and secondly, we need to keep these in order for the checks to be aligned, so as
Right.
not to create a bottleneck. All right, but I want to reinforce the fact that for purchases that are non-contract, we need to get prior approval on these things. All right, so there's a couple here, I'll point them out to you afterwards. All right?
Any other comment?
Oh.
Roll call. Tom, seconded by Jim.
I'm making things like this.
Yeah. All right, it's okay, it's okay.
Bailey's,
Yes.
Adams,
Yes.
Laurie.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Well, wait a minute, do we have a total bill amount?
Yes, I said it.
I'm sorry.
You have it in front of you, amended, 401,576.62. Jim, you asked me before, you want to table the minutes because of the,
I didn't have, there's 2 points. One, I didn't have enough time. I know we're trying to get our agendas done ahead of time, but I'd like to go back to the way we were beginning to operate this year, which was like 2 business days after the meeting, like by end of day Monday or something, we would get the minutes. It's fresh in my mind, and I can actually add value in terms of...
it's fresh in everyone's mind. So,
Yeah.
All right, so we'll table this month's minutes for that, and then just to reinforce, I guess, so by this Monday, okay. Motion to receive the monthly reports for police and court.
Make the motion.
I'll second it. Okay. Comment? Roll call?
Bayless?
Yes.
Adams?
Yes.
Warren?
Yes.
Wheeler?
Yes. Motion to open up for public comment for agenda items only.
I'll make that motion.
Tom will second it. Comment? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone wishing to make public comment on agenda items, please come up, state your name and address. Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah,
Sure. Please come up. Just state your name and address.
I'm unsure to what it is other than where we were discussing merging courts and police. Why is that going to be a vote that you need to have the public? Why is that not going to go
Is there any other public comment? It's public comment. Okay. Anyone else wishing to make public comment? Seeing no hands, motion to close.
Make the motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 With respect to the Dumont Road, you all have a copy of the letter. Michael, I only threw it on the agenda because it suggested that it's tab 3, I believe, of the...
I just have the agenda.
It's an August 1st letter that you were copied on. That just basically says you have the certain time parameters in there. I'm assuming it's all taken care of.
Well, I actually did respond directly to you, but we're going to talk a lot about Dumont Road tonight, which will address that issue.
So I'll just...
It's a non-issue.
So we'll just wait for your agenda
The
items.
Dumont Road
Okay.
discussion is probably going to end up being lengthy and somewhat detailed, but it's a non-issue relative to their letter of notice that we had about 6 months to get the contract awarded. It's been out to bid now, so we have bids and we'll talk about them later.
Okay. With respect to the first energy tree work schedule, you all have, I guess it's also in Exhibit 3. Was everybody copied on that communication? The original communication from Nelson? Yeah, okay. So I just want to make sure everybody's aware of that and that the residents are aware of that. Earlier in the year, we talked about getting the tree service out to do some tree trimming around the lines. And JCP&L they're picking up the tab for this. They have Nelson Tree Service out now throughout the town, doing necessary tree limb remediation before the hurricane season hits. So I don't know. Did they give an indication? I have a contact number that you said there's any problems. But weeks, months. I mean.
If there's any areas of concern, if you want to reach out, the phone number was listed there on the card to speak to the rep.
Okay.
And I mentioned South Main Street, down by the bed and breakfast, all the...
Yeah. Right. And even going up Washington. I mean, right along the farm. Yeah. But even going up Washington, right here. I mean, by the farm, those lines are completely covered. You can talk to them about that too, make sure. And if there's a process where they can at least let us know when they think they're done, because the other thing is I don't want to keep bothering them saying, and it's on their list. So at least if we get to a point where they think they're done, then we're looking, we're saying, well, what about, then at least we're giving feedback, knowing that we're not on the same page. So, okay. I received a complaint from residents about continued speeding on Kennedy Mills, Michael, and that there's no signage. There's only one sign on the whole street without, Yeah, so can you take a look at that and then just see whether there's appropriate signage or whether we need to add some?
There's one, and I suspect that she's a resident, she would know.
And then maybe-
Obviously a quick drive-through.
And identify if we need more, where, and then have DPW, take a look at that?
And by definition, those roads are, even with with 0 signs in all development, it's 25.
Yeah.
So it's still enforceable and whatnot.
Understood.
But a couple signs doesn't.
Okay,
I guess. No
great,
problem.
thanks. That's all I have. Tom?
Under fire, I need a motion to accept new member as a junior firefighter, Daphne Centeno.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Comment? Roll call?
Bailey's?
Yes.
Adams?
Yes.
Laurie?
Yes.
Wheeler?
Yes.
So I'm going to make a motion for a blue light permit renewal for Scott Ferguson.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Comment? Roll call?
Bailey's?
Yes.
Adams?
Yes.
Laurie?
Yes.
Wheeler?
Yes.
Then there's emergency management, the hazard mitigation program. Joe, were you going to discuss this, or do you want me to go read this letter with regards to the energy?
It's very simple. In the beginning of the year, or from the Hurricane Sandy storm, we were in the energy allocation initiative. Well, the state reviewed the application and stuff, and they didn't meet criteria. They changed criteria. So our $35,000 grant for the generator has been taken out of that, but reallocated into the hazard mitigation. So there's still $35,000 there left for that. And also, I got a letter from the county. The county, I sent a letter to them stating that it didn't meet the requirements to come first. So the county put in for a supplemental grant of $10,000, towards the grant that's submitted to the state.
So net from a financial perspective, are we eating 35 grand?
No, we're just not
We
getting.
have not received no grant money yet. This grant is, you pay for the job, they reimburse. And
Okay.
we have up to, before we even start the job, we want to reject this. But right now, we've been approved for 35, wait for the approval from the state.
What does that cover, Joe?
Still under review for the
That's-
approval.
What's that?
What does that cover?
This is, right now, what it covers is only about 60% of the whole job. For just a shade under $71,000 to do the complete job.
Okay.
And that's because of the extensive work that has to be done here to the building. The electrical panel box, the meter box down in the basement is all rotten out, so they just can't put the wires into that. So we're moving the meter to the outside here on the wall and putting the switching station and everything right out here on the building.
Last winter, we had a problem with the roof out here. And
Yes.
is that included in that? We'll be able to get that repaired too,
No,
or?
this is only energy resilience.
That's it.
Energy, the roof and the drain thing, I have that drain cleaned out, I cleaned that out.
So we're okay?
It's been flowing, but we haven't had no drain infested.
Okay.
except for the
Okay, thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Give this 911 street map update on here. What is that?
Joe,
I'm sorry.
Oh,
On the 911
the
update.
911, I talked to somebody up there, they're changing the CAD system and stuff, and updating it, and the person that called me, matter of fact, just 2 days ago, We only have certain few things that we need to address. Everything seems to be up to date. I asked him if there was any current maps needed, and he said not at this time. The only thing I have to work on there is giving them physical addresses for the municipal-owned properties throughout this town. And Steppers Park, Beatty's Road Field, and some of the stuff out here at Winter Farm Boulevard. For those who have GPSs, if they follow 321 Greenwich Street comes up to the corner of Winter Farm Boulevard and Greenwich Street, because that's the address that it's addressed here as property, where it should have, even though there's no homes or buildings on it, it should have a physical address located. So that's stuff that needs to be taken care of with this.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Joe. Just in the POSHA issue in the police department, Mike's been working with an HVAC contractor and the engineer, and they filed an extension that was accepted with a completion date of 9/11. Is that correct? So that's in the works, so that should be taken care of, and that should be mitigated at that point. If you have any,
Well, a quick update. As from last month, if you recall, you gave me authority to award the contract based upon the emergency situation, as long as it came in under 12 dollars was the cap. We got the MEP consultant involved, who basically inspected the existing facilities and spec'd out the new equipment. And then the contractor, Fazano Cooling and Heating, has issued a quote which was $9,800.
did you send that?
Right around there. So he ordered the parts. He's waiting for the called the ERV, the Energy Resource System, to come in. As soon as it comes in, he'll do the work. So it's just a function of getting the part ordered, the equipment.
And you're confident that he's gonna meet that deadline, second, for the extension?
I couldn't have made the issue more.
I made it very clear. I made it clear.
No,
So
he
What's the new deadline?
assured,
9/11.
he assured me that was absolutely, he said it was 2-3 days worth of work.
Right. It's not a large job. It's
So
just
as long
it
as
was a
he
matter of
has
scoping
stuff,
out.
he could certainly get it done.
Can you, I don't know, as it approaches a week before the deadline, can you let me know, give me a status as to what's going on? Because I'll probably be able to the next meeting. Yeah, I just want to make sure that Lou is,
The work started.
I have to follow up with him too directly, or leave it with you?
But it's a 2 or 3 day job?
But I know with the holiday coming up.
It's here and mobilized and ready to go, yeah.
I had a question for you when you're done. For the fees or fines, are we anticipating any?
Not at this point. We followed the necessary extensions and we're granted it, so right now we haven't received
good,
any
right?
communication for any type of fines at this point.
Well, with the letter, everything's been
Is there,
extended, and there's been things that have been complied with. So, on the extension letter and the granting of the notice to comply extension, they only indicated the ones that we still need to do. The other ones have been abated, and we're taking care of them. So,
okay, so we're not anticipating any fines?
Mhm.
Okay, good. Thank you.
That's all I have.
Okay. Jim? Oh, you know what, before you begin, I forgot this.
oh, yeah.
So can I have a motion to adopt Resolution 2014-51, authorizing a refund of overpayment on taxes for Block 11, Lot 1, in the amount of $2,012.46.
Make a motion.
I'll second.
Comment? Roll call?
Bailey?
Yes.
Adams?
Yes.
Flores?
Yes.
Freeland?
Yes. Okay, Jim?
Yeah, the only thing I have is an authorization for Bob, our auditor, to take a look at the what was brought up, the SEC. There's some regulations, secondary market disclosure regulations that we need to be compliant with. So there was this big, well, there's a couple of questions raised as to who's doing it, when can they do it, and all that. So we have the options of having our auditor take a look at these things and steer us in the right direction in terms of what the filing requirements are. It goes back like 5 years in audits. The auditor can do it, bond counsel can do it, according to Bob, the attorney can do it, and the CFO can do it. So unless you're, I wanted to ask you, I don't want to put you on the spot, but you could talk to Bob, but I thought either, I'm thinking Bob is probably the guy to handle
Makes
this.
sense.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So I'd like to make a motion to have Bob take care of our SEC secondary market disclosure regulation requirements, and get us in compliance.
I'll second. Comment? Roll call?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
And Frank, you are talking with him? Please, thank you. Okay. Glacial Energy. And I don't believe you've had a chance to even look at this, Frank, but some things have taken place that we didn't anticipate. So Glacial Energy was an electrical supplier that provided the township with decreased rates. So we were saving some dollars. We entered into the agreement in 2009, and from, we started looking and seeing, why are we paying so much for township electric? Okay, street lights, this building, Stecker, wherever the township pays electrical bills, and we noticed that there was a pretty sharp increase to the tune of about $10,000 to $15,000. So we looked into it. They provided us with a detailed write-up, and it looks like after 2010, things started going awry, and the costs of Glacial started exceeding the cost of JCP&L. So I asked a couple of questions. What came back to the township was, Kim, what was it?
Thank you. They notified Jersey Central Power and Light that they are no longer servicing the
Yes. So I guess they read the tea leaves and pulled out. So, I wanted to notify, what is it effective? End of
September. They're going to do the final readings in mid-September, and then they're gone, so.
Good.
So I don't know if any motion is required for this. It's more just FYI.
I think it's more mission accomplished.
Well, I'm sorry?
Contract with after
So we switch.
revert back.
We revert back to
But
JCP&L.
we still have the choice of choosing another energy supplier after.
Yeah. Now we can start our search and go elsewhere and figure that out.
Right.
I do want to still talk with you, Frank, because I kind of feel we've been slighted with this to the tune of over $30,000. So I don't know if there's any recourse here or other notifications that we need to do to other townships or New Jersey League of Municipalities.
Well, we could certainly do that and maybe have a review of the contracts and see
Yeah.
what potential, avenues we have.
Okay.
I'd also like to see if there's a fee shifting provision in the contract. Probably not. It's probably one-sided, but, take a look at it and see.
Okay. Good. And that's all I have.
Environmental Commission.
Nothing to report.
Well, I have some questions then. First of all, they completed the pond at the school, which
Yes.
is on the, on the webpage. It looks,
Yes,
looks great.
We didn't have a quorum. I didn't have my act together to bring all that to town.
Yeah, but it looks great. And I saw a couple troops of Boy Scouts out cleaning up around ShopRite, some cans and some.
Yes.
So there's a lot getting done through the Environmental Commission.
I'm telling you, there's a whole spark of energy there, and with the recycling that each of us do, there's some significant dollars coming into that commission, and they're putting it to good use. It's great that we can funnel those things back to the community in terms of Boy Scouts and Girl Scout type clubs, and you know what, the township is cleaner because of it. So thank you. I'll relay that. I don't see any of them in here.
No, but they're really.
We just did the awards last month.
Great job.
Yeah,
They really are.
I'll let them know that. Thank you.
Leaf pickup. Is that possible for this year, or is that too ambitious?
Well, I believe it's ambitious. We didn't have a quorum, our meeting was Tuesday, we didn't have a quorum this month. So I'm a little at a loss, but I think what we need to do is investigate it and see if it's actually feasible. I don't know how fast we could put something together, but we're going to reach out to, like, the waste management, large type firms to see if we can't piggyback off of an existing infrastructure that they already have and just put it over Greenwich. I don't want to make any promises that...
Yeah, but it'd be
that we
nice
can't
if we
keep
can, we can get that
in place.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I'll
Okay.
follow up, I'll come back September.
Okay, great.
I'm sure we'll have a special meeting.
Okay. Angela?
Okay. I just have one item under economic development. I went to the county meeting last week, and this example I gave you is the format that they're going to have for any of the leads that they give out to the towns for businesses that want to locate in our county. This is one which I don't know if it would fit our town, Scott's Miracle Grow. Obviously, this type of business you wouldn't want to have near anyone because of a lot of smells and what have you, a lot of truck traffic. But it's the format, business use, employment, location, property requirements. So you can see if there's anything that would fit with what we have. So this is what they'll be giving us as far as leads.
This is just more for an example of format for
But this is,
information.
basically one thing that they have available right now. The meeting after the next one is going to be October 9th. They're going to have a special meeting, which is for the mayors and for the economic committees for the different towns. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to go to that one. I'll be in New Orleans. And I think it's going to be an important meeting. It's going to be at the college. They're going to serve refreshments. It's going to be October 9th at 7 p.m.
Which college?
And the freeholders are going to be there.
Which college?
I can.
Warren County
Warren
Community
County?
College. So I would appreciate it if
Yeah, I can
you and
make it.
Tom
Sure.
would go.
I'm putting it in right now.
I also mentioned that one property to Jason Zarnowski it's a long shot for the library. So I emailed it to him. He hasn't mentioned it.
Okay.
Is a possibility, but you might want to push him a little bit on it.
I'll mention it.
All right.
Okay, sure.
So he has all the plans and everything.
Okay.
Basically, that's it.
And you know what, Angela, while, before we move on, I heard from Tom today that the VFW Hall doesn't have enough volunteers to be able to man a beer tent for a community day. And before we reach out to another third party to come in, I was thinking, since you're a member, if you can talk to them and maybe if you can, get some volunteers, because I know it's a revenue, an opportunity for them too. So I'd hate to see them lose it. Maybe if we can task you with that to see if you can,
Obviously, I was going to help.
talk, and see if we can get the requisite volunteers. And I'm sure, Tom, we can help them find some people. But before we start reaching out to somebody else and they lose the opportunity, I thought maybe you could speak to them as a member.
Yeah.
Can you do that?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Great,
Yeah.
great, thanks.
I think their main concern was what's going to happen about the tent. Are we going to provide a tent for them?
Oh,
And
that's it?
because I didn't know what was going to happen as far as what the town was going to do for them and whatever. So we need to know that.
Okay,
We can talk.
All right.
Talk to him first.
great.
Angela, I'm sorry, the time for that meeting?
7 p.m.
7 p.m.
You're going to get a notice.
All right.
Okay,
I just
great.
want to just put it in there and block it off.
Yeah, I've got it in, too. Frank, do you have anything for us? Mike?
Okay. A couple updates, and then we'll say Dumont to the end. All right. Board items. update on the OU2 project quickly, which I found very interesting. I received an email. Most recently, we were trying to have the EPA accept our proposal to use the Amy property as a staging area, as you know. That was Bob Canasis to be talking with Mr. Renee, the new project manager. And then I got an email out of the blue that basically said they're holding off on any decisions relative to the staging area because there's some, I'll call it, it's my language, some sort of contractual snafu relative to construction responsibility. And that they're now trying to get this sorted out, apparently, because you have New Jersey American in Franklin, you have Aqua in Greenwich, and you have American Can in Washington, which was the polluter.
Right.
And apparently New Jersey American is, of course it's not our water company, but is making some point that they need to do the construction of the infrastructure, which is obviously put a little raise the flag with the EPA. That's what I got. Joe, did you get the same thing?
Well, I
Same
only,
email?
from you, yeah, that they're looking to do the infrastructure even in Greenwich, even though it's not going to be their water, even though they're not supplying the water.
You know what? That's an interesting take because I read that the first time. That's exactly what I thought. Then I read it at least 5 more times because I said that doesn't make any sense at all. That they would come into a town they don't ever know. I mean, it didn't make any sense. And if you read it again, and it could be a semantical thing, I didn't get that. I think it was a conflict between the EPA wanting the offender to the polluter, if you will, the cause of the contamination, to be the responsible party to construct these facilities, or these contract with a contractor. New Jersey American was saying, nope, we got to do it. So, really not much to report other than that was a
Well, I hope
bump in the road.
Look, between the two, I would want the tortfeasor not to be involved in the remediation, because ultimately, to me, there's an inherent conflict, and, the EPA should know that as the responsible offending party, if they're going to oversee the construction, and since they're paying for it, they have a financial incentive to cut corners and to mitigate their own damages. Where if the water supply company is doing it, they have a vested interest in making sure that the infrastructure is done to the highest of standards, because ultimately down the road, if there's any problems, they're going to be the ones who are going to deal with interruption of service and everything else. So just from a common sense standpoint, the EPA's position is inconsistent with logic.
Well, that was news to me when I read it as well. I mean, I thought it was going to go out to bid to a contractor, as any big capital improvement project would be.
And I would, if you could maybe whisper in the ear of, for what it's worth, to the EPA, that, to the extent that they don't have financial skin in the game, to the extent that the tortfeasor is responsible for this, their interest is ensuring that the remediation is done properly. The best way to achieve that is to tell the tortfeasor to step aside and let,
I agreed, and it news to me. Let me touch base with this Renee first. Maybe a phone conversation will be a little revealing and interesting, and certainly give us an update.
Well, if nothing else, maybe it'll kind of at least further understand their positions and what the issues are.
Came from,
Yeah.
Again, it really came from left
Yeah.
field.
Okay.
Okay. The speed limit signage and roadway markings on the county road. Last month, we didn't take any action. The bottom line is this, as reported to you folks, county has agreed with our plan, has approved it, and what we are proposing, but to do work on the road, we need to draft, not draft, adopt the resolution, certifying that we're responsible for maintenance and so forth. This is a typical county resolution, and also file for a street opening permit, which is the basic stuff. So, it's really, that's where that's at.
Can we have that prepared?
They sent us an example. They sent us an example of the resolution, which
About this, can you send it to Frank? And Frank, can you, make sure that for our next meeting that it's, one is prepared in our packet for everybody to look at, and so we can adopt this at the next meeting? Thanks. You don't have to find it now.
I think I actually have it here, but you'll all get my copy.
Okay, great.
Okay. All right. Angela, you asked last month about this Home Depot ShopRite, the signs for Lindy, where that was. The county still working on it. That's not quite a lot, but that's the answer.
Unbelievable.
Okay. It's a good segue into what will be my final item, which is Dumont. The DOT just sent the township its annual letter notifying us of the 2015 grant program. We were awarded the road money for Dumont Road through the 2013 grant program. This is item number 34 in my report. The applications are due to be submitted to the DOT by October 14th, which I'm going to guess is after our October, before our October meeting. So, if you want to make an application, I would recommend you authorize our office to prepare the application and have it available so that it can be submitted in advance of what will be the deadline, which is in October.
Doesn't make sense.
We've been successful with securing monies through this program for a long time, and we submitted an application in Washington Street last year, and we probably need to do the same one, so it's not a whole lot of work.
And you would have to, this is due by when? October when?
October 14th.
And you would need how much time to prepare these? In other words, if it's on the September agenda, that's okay?
Well,
To approve, or is that cutting it close?
What would be, okay, October 14th is a Sunday.
So it's the
That
15th.
is an interesting deadline they established. In any event,
So it's the
they
15th.
are submitted electronically, so our meeting in September is the 18th. So, our normal meeting is after the due date. Oh, no, I'm sorry, it's October. What? Pardon me.
So September is okay? We put on September?
September is okay, yeah. If we want to take action to do the authorization, it could be in September.
Okay. All right.
All right. The ocean is okay,
Yep.
Dumont Road. Dumont Road went out to bid. 4 bids were picked up. 2 bids were submitted. The bid opening was Tuesday, this week. Here in Minnesota. Bottom line is this. And, the apparent low bid, top line construction, in the amount of $268,000 and change. The second bid was intercounty paving in the amount of $297,000 and change. So basically, $268 and $298. Lorraine happened to be here when at the bid opening, so I went to her and I said, "Okay, Lorraine, here's the numbers." It's above the money that was budgeted for the project, which was $220,000. And as I know, and I'm sure Frank will back me up on this, you can't award a contract without having the money in place and available. So we have done some analysis as far as why it's higher, and so on and so forth. There's a couple reasons. The primary reason is that when we did our estimate on this, we assumed that we were going to go through the co-op, which is a unit price of $72 per ton, based upon and these are the set of plans, based upon the level of effort and various work items, that it's not just a resurfacing, it's a partial reconstruction, and there's other items as well. That it really didn't lend itself to going through the co-op, that it really needed to go out to bid and have a contractor get the job and do the job. With all the traffic control, inlet resets, striping, pavement repair, popping, of course, and so forth. All right. What we've looked at is shortening the job to only take it from Route 519 to the entrance drive to the shopping center. Because from the entrance drive to the shopping center to Greenwood Street, the road's actually not in bad shape. That's the better part of the road. As you get closer to 519, that's where the road starts getting in pretty bad shape. We've done a little prorata assessment. With the prices we got, taking out that section of road, what would be, if the bidders bid exactly the same in unit costs, which of course you can't guarantee that either. The new bids come in at, for the reduced scope, which is approximately 20% of the length of the road, by the way. So you still get 80% done, 519 to the entrance drive to the shopping center. Top line would be 214, inter-county would be 243. So, that's clearly, but
The boundaries, once again, 519 to the shopping
center driveway.
center drive.
Yeah, the Home Depot access drive.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be the project, which is clearly the section of road that's in more need of repair, especially the closer you get to 519.
Can I change the amount of money we get from the state?
We are getting $160,000 from the state. But we already, via Lorraine certification and I guess some prior bond monies, moved monies to this project for a total of $220,000. Now that includes the soft costs, which are primarily obviously our fees.
But what I'm saying is, if we make the project smaller, can we still count on the full amount?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's not a problem. We've had to do that on other projects in the past. We still have a little bit of time, but we can't be putting this out to bid in November because obviously we're not paid in December. We did the devil.
I noticed her coming in. Did you want to sit down and add to this, or did you
No, we're talking about doing
I didn't hear the whole thing. I just wanted to let you know, even with the project shortening, taking off that first section, we're still going to be really tight with the ordinance that we have. So we have to add to that at least some soft costs.
I was actually just going to suggest that I think either way, I don't think we can shorten it up any more than to the entrance drive. Because that's a good spot that makes some sense.
To cut it.
And I think if we start really shortening it up any further, then Angelo's point and question, the DOT is going to say, wait a second. We told you we're going to do, all of the road, which is 0.8 of a mile, now you're doing half.
Yeah.
So I think either way, we have to try and find some additional money to put into the project to do this project. And I know that is a difficult proposition. But the deadline for the DOT is we have to enter into a contract in 014, excuse me. We could wait a few months, put it out to bid by the end of the year, and just not do the job till the spring. We could do that. We have to enter into a contract by, 014.
Oh, yeah, I hear Tom not liking that. The condition of the road currently is pretty good. We're doing this because we have grants.
Not really.
No.
No? Is there an issue?
Yeah, we gotta get that done.
Yeah, it's really falling apart. The last couple of years, it's gotten really bad. Yeah, beyond the striping, that's just superficial stuff.
Okay.
I mean, that's needed to be replaced for years. But the actual integrity of the pavement has very much been compromised. And again, primarily more at north end by close to Bike.
All right, so we're budget for 220. We're at 214. What are the soft costs?
Well, we've already probably billed you, maybe 20? 24. Okay. Now, plans have done, specs done, so that's, so the vast majority of our fees have been billed. There still is the contract admin work and the construction inspection. So there's still...
Who does that?
We do.
You do. You do the final bond. What's your estimate on that? Ballpark it.
Probably at least, if we got to put this out to bid again, we got to do a contract award, we got to have pre-con meetings, we got to do inspections, we got to do all the DOT closeout. These projects, it's nice to get all the money, but there's a bunch of admin work associated with this, beyond just the actual field work. Probably $7,500, I'm going to say. Plus minus. Could it be 10? No. There's still a bunch of work to do.
All right, so we're at 214 bid.
Well, again, that's
Plus-
not a real bid. That's a prorated assessment by our office on what we could expect the reduced scope job come in at, if it's bid at the same unit prices. Could be less.
It's never less.
Well, if it's a different job, it goes out to bid. You never know how.
You
All
never
right, to make it real simple, right, we budgeted 220. Theoretically, what this is going to come in at is, let's just say Mike's 214 is wrong, is 220, 244, 250. We're out. Township will be out $30,000 to $40,000 ballpark assessment. All right.
Where'd you get 30?
All right, so I took the 214 and I said it's going to be 220.
Okay, come on.
All right, I added your costs already of 25, so we're at 245.
Okay.
Let's call it 250
Okay.
because I can't think any other numbers. Okay. So we budgeted 220 and now we're at 250, so that leaves us holding the bag for 30. Okay. Sorry.
That's part of the grant. Right.
Okay,
Right,
so
we
what
originally-
is, so, all right, instead of me pretending to know the numbers, what is the over the budget amount that we will be at? 30. Okay, 30.
It's 30, right?
30, all right, so 30.
Under your shortened proposal?
Yeah,
Yeah, under the short.
Well, originally, remember, we added on because we thought it would be wise to do the entire thing, you know what I'm saying? So the short proposal was
short
the
proposal
original.
saving us like 60 grand.
That was the original plan. We decided, oh, you know what, I remember the meeting, we sat it, said, you know what, this is making it wise, we're gonna extend it and do the whole darn thing, you know? And we were like, oh, great. And now it's become a reality that it's not.
Michael, you said if you shorten it, let's just use the 214 number.
Yep.
Okay. We budgeted 220, 160 grant, and then the balance was us, but it's already been
provided for. You said the additional soft cost would be 10. So how,
Over what's been spent already, that's what I'm saying.
okay,
Additional moving forward.
yes, but if we were in the 220 range, okay, and now you're needing an additional 10, where are we talking about?
That's what I'm saying, is that I don't
30,000?
understand, I thought, we're at 214 plus your estimated of another soft at 10, that puts us at 224.
Yeah, but, okay.
Am I screwed
There's
up here?
been, as Lorraine said, there's been 20-some thousand already billed or paid, like some
Can we
of
see,
them
can we
paid.
see an actuals on this? Can you get together an actual on it, just for this project alone? Is that feasible?
Here-
No, I don't need it now, I just want to see the line items as actuals before we start making,
Here's my thought,
decisions on
Michael.
numbers being thrown around.
Because you have to have the money to sign the contract. And I'm hearing this for the first time, so
That's what I wanna see.
it's my initial reaction. My thought is to shorten the scope of the project as you suggested. Keep it within, so we can sign the contract in 14. When we talk about the additional soft costs, that would be part of 15 budget, which we can start looking at, and maybe you and I can sit down and think of some creative ways to kind of shift your work from some other things to this, so that it, in the overall budget, it doesn't have the impact by just assuming we're tacking on. Maybe it's, skipping a couple township meetings next year unless absolutely necessary. In other words, we can get creative in working with you to get this project done and keeping it as close to revenue neutral for the taxpayers as possible. I think there's some flexibility there where we can just basically say, your involvement in the meeting, but, we can say, okay, this month Michael's not going to be there. If you need him there, we can make arrangements, have you first, leave, whatever. So, I think there are ways we can do this, we can approach this, to get the job done and do it in a way where we can all tighten the belts a little bit and not have the impact on next year's budget, dollar for dollar. It's just my initial reaction.
There's one problem with that. And Lorraine, make sure I'm with you. The 220 has already been touched by the township to pay bills up to now to generate these plans and put the bids back together. Okay. So, and let's use a round number of 20,000. We don't have a bid for 214. We have bids for 268 and 298. So we have to go out to bid. Oh, okay, I'm sorry, Joe. I wasn't making sure that.
Yeah.
Fine. Okay.
Yeah.
Then as long as
What's that?
Yeah.
We'll
Sure.
have plenty of time
To make it sign.
in addition to capital ordinance. We do have monies in our general capital fund that we could use to allocate to fund the additional $40,000 that we would.
Yeah.
I want to see that. We'll break out the line item and review.
I would think what you want to do
Something on it.
is, well, first and foremost, thank you for stopping this and getting it into financial review, and not having to deal with it after the fact, and now we're saddled with figuring out how to deal with 30 grand overage on one of these projects. This is a bit, historically, we've always run a little over on these projects. So thank you.
And I apologize for not getting something out to you before tonight's meeting, but the bid opening was Tuesday morning, and literally, we've been talking to the DOT, we've been talking to trying to figure out, okay, what's the best approach, what's my suggestion to you folks tonight?
You put this out of order.
I was not excited with these bid results. I was hoping that we were gonna come in at something that I'd be able to say, okay, let's award it to top line construction at X dollars, and let's get the job done.
I think your solution makes sense. I think what we need to do is get it into factual. You know, these guys got to come back and tell you, hey, this is what, we can do it in what you're thinking, what your office extrapolated, they can actually do it. So let's take that as a next, I'm thinking, you're looking for a direction in terms of what to do next. We go out to bid, again, right, we got to go out to bid to get those numbers to where they need to be. And perhaps even lower.
And there's a possibility you still might need, you might, I mean, you know, let's hope it doesn't happen, you might need, I mean, Lorraine's suggestion is to be done. But, I mean, our hope would be, obviously, to go out to bid and be able to award the contract at the next meeting, which would be the September meeting. But that from...
Let's tighten the belt and no.
We have time.
We have time.
We have time.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
So we go out to bid? All right, so what do you need? You want a motion?
Motion to, okay, no, there's actually a motion to reject the bids that were received, that's very important, based upon the fact that they came in above the funding available for the project, and authorize our office to rebid the project at a revised scope.
I'll make that motion.
I will second that one.
Comment.
Good job,
Roll
Mike.
call.
Very good motion, Mike.
Good job, Mike.
Yes, well,
Yes.
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 Come on, everything. Yeah, just, I need to ask a question on that.
Okay, is that it, Michael?
Yes, that's it, sorry.
Thank you very
That
much.
was,
Thank you.
a little-
That was enough tonight, right?
Well,
No.
hey,
I told you I warned you about Dumont Road.
Yeah, it is what it is.
that's a great half-a-cent conversation.
Yeah.
Right,
Okay, can I have a motion to open up the meeting for public comment?
I will make that
Second
motion.
public comment? I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone wish to make public comment, please come up, state your name.
One person ahead of you.
I would like to make a strong recommendation to this committee to hear what the residents say. We have a resident here that made a suggestion. This is the first meeting, and you totally ignored. I know you usually don't converse during open comment. She made a suggestion, she asked a question, and you totally ignored it. I would like to make a strong recommendation that if you're looking at shared service for the court and community, that your analysis is shared with the residents, that it's put out for a vote. The reason I'm saying this is, as you know, or maybe you don't know, that our police department is one of the lower paid police departments in the county, maybe even in the state. POHAT is much higher. So if you're in negotiation, even if you go into a contract and the first year looks good, eventually that contract, those costs are going to go higher as a result of those salaries being higher. I think we have a recent example of that with the high school, although we don't have a lot of choice, where the tuition has gone sky high, resulting in the tax hike that we just saw. And residents aren't happy about that. The other thing I'd like to mention is that, I don't know if you've noticed or not, but I think criminal activity is on the rise. Cars are being broken into and so forth. And, you know, the residents, we're paying high taxes. We want services. And when you relinquish control of your police department and your court to another township, you are relinquishing your ability to control those costs. So my suggestion is, strong recommendation, that you listen to the residents, you do the analysis, you put it out there to the residents, and let us go. But the last time I checked, it's Stewartsville. It's not Yellowville, okay? It's Stewartsville. The residents should have a say in what's going on in this town. We're paying high taxes, and we should have a say.
Anyone else wishing to make public comment?
George Colon, 1145 Monroe Drive. Since we talk about the repairs and so on, why don't we just pay a little attention to the big driving every morning, every day. A crack open, an inch and a half in the middle of the road. The whole road is nice. You just seal it. That doesn't cost much. And look for the big crack before they become a big issue. This is my opinion. Thank you.
Thanks, Fred.
Area 0529 North Main Street, Minnesota. Last year, Township Committee was, specifically Joe, Tom, you guys were totally against any possible shared services with the police department, and now we're looking at it. And yet now we're looking at another loss of service to the residents of Greenwich Township. Another thing, court services going away. Now you're talking about shared services with the police department. We're losing our control with the police department. I don't understand. So last meeting, when we were talking about the environmental commission, we brought up a good point about the concerns about the insurance with the Boy Scouts with the cleanups that were going on alongside the road. I noticed I think it was this past weekend, they were out along Greenwich Street doing a great job. However, I noticed they didn't have any vests on and there was no signage. I thought that was a big concern.
What's that happening?
The only thing I saw was, a car alongside the road slowly going. I presume what they was, Cub Scout leaders. I thought we need to look into that. Fremont Road, since we're talking about it, the lights haven't been working in for a year now. Yeah. It's more money we've thrown into that, but yes, it's still not working. And it's least a year now, and they've worked for a really short period of time, but now they're not working. It's been since last month. Last but not least, the speeding issue on Main Street that we talked about. Thanking the chief for putting a sign out in front of the old school. I brought this up before when they had the big comment about the possibility of rumble strips. Everybody wanted to go with that. Everybody wanted noise. Great. I made a comment about the small radar signs that you put on the telephone poles. I was kind of laughed at by some of the people that were in public that night. I sat there on my porch and had watched people flying in their speed because of that radar sign being on the old school property. So those radar signs work. I witnessed it firsthand. We spent a lot of money and engineers' fees or times, countless hours looking at other ways of controlling the speed, and I really think those radar signs work. Charles Sinus, 103 Nebraska Lane. I'd like to just mention that it's my opinion you have to look at civil service. Our taxes are going through the roof. I don't know how many of these people understand how much we are spending on them. It's been going up and up every year, and it's been, and we just can't afford it. So it has to look, at least look, and see what is really necessary. If you do set it out, don't do what the school board did. But set it out with the people understanding what it's costing. And it wasn't the paper that even Greenwich Township school officials who knew their deals, even to jump in taxes, were surprised when they opened their most recent bills to school board presidents. Now, I think somebody should look at what's going on. They're surprised at what the taxes were going to be when they established the budget. There's something wrong with it. And also, when this 670,000 shortfall was discovered, why wasn't a notice sent out for all the residents? So so they knew what was going on.
Because they said the notice, they spent $1,200 on taxes.
So exactly.
We had to close it.
But anyway, the people didn't know what was going on when they went to vote on the Wisconsin budget. They didn't show school officials did. So there should have been a notice sent out prior to the vote to let the people know what it was going to cost them, so they could vote yes or no, knowing the cost. And I'd just like to make one more comment in regard to the public comments. I mentioned a couple of years ago that the first public comment is only for agenda. Almost people don't know what these agenda items mean. And I said, there aren't that many people that make comments. Why can't they make a comment at the beginning of the meeting? So you can hear the people. You represent the people. You should want to know what we have to say. And like I only had one question. A couple of years ago, we had an agenda item about roads. That there was going to be a survey done to find out what roads needed to be repaired, what it was going to cost. Yes, it did. That's been over 2 years ago. I think it should be back on the agenda. Because, like the gentleman said, you know, you could work on some of these roads and maybe repair them. Because in the long run, it's going to cost us a lot more money to look at. You know, if our taxes keep going up, well, what are we getting?
Charlie, for what it's worth, it's still included in my report, so. Yeah, it's just that the new agenda format doesn't have all my entries listed, so. It's just your first
So it's still
report.
being looked at.
It's still on the radar.
Okay.
Anyone else wishing to be heard?
Thank you, Chief Recovery. I just wanted to give an update about the drug mailbox
Oh, man.
issue. I just recently had a meeting with the agent in charge of the program. I reviewed where it's at right now in the Porter area, police department downstairs. He allowed the box to be there. We discussed it in the best interest of the community to have it there. To this point, there's been about 6,500 pounds of drugs that have been received across the state with these mailboxes. In the last quarter, Phillipsburg Police Department recovered 20 pounds of it. So he allowed me to make some changes. I'm going to talk with him later about some of the things that just have to do with the securing box down there. And once I get it totally compliant and available.
Please make sure you include any conversations with Tom.
Thank you.
Thanks. Anyone else?
I also just want to comment about shared services. I also find, as Gary said, very interesting that about a year ago, it was like, no way, we don't even want to investigate it. And now it seems to be, well, I talk about it, but we're not getting into that as to really what's being planned or what's being looked at. And I'm just curious as to why last year it was just like, we don't even want to think about it, we don't want to go talk about it, but now it seems like you're not doing stuff on that.
I didn't hear your name. Okay.
Anyone else? Seeing no hands, motion to close public comment.
Motion. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Before we adjourn, I just wanted to, for some of the new, or at least for the one new resident, on the agenda, and Charlie, I'll address your issue as well. I know we've had a conversation about this. We have two areas for public comment, and it's called public comment and not public debate or public question answer, because most of the meeting, the elected officials up here do most of the talking. This is, and the reason that we have agenda items up front is so that residents can offer their comment, their view on, on what we should consider as we deliberate and make the decision. So that is the purpose for the public comment meeting. And it allows, folks an opportunity to speak their mind, even when, statements are incorrect. And one I just want to illustrate tonight is there were several people tonight who mischaracterized the discussion of last year. There was never a discussion of shared services with police last year. It's just a false statement. It's just patently false. What was proposed last year was a South Warren Regional Police Commission. That's not a shared service. It's a wholly new created entity. And just like the school system, where in this town, and we'll use the school as an example, where you take a section of your budget and you turn it over to unelected officials who don't reside in Greenwich Township, they're not accountable to the Greenwich electorate, they spend your money and then they send a bill and they pass an increase. The South Warren Regional Police Commission last year, we would have turned over 28% of your tax dollars would have been turned over to people outside of Greenwich Township. The South Warren Regional Police Commission would have dictated what would be spent, how it would be spent, and they would pass the bill along, and you, as a resident, would be completely cut out of any voice. You couldn't be heard. You could elect your officials, and your officials up here would have no control over that. It's a fundamental difference when you're looking at shared services, as they are with the courts, and we're actively discussing and exploring a shared service with the courts, because right now we're losing about $70,000 a year. So the residents of Greenwich Township are expending about $70,000 to fund violators, law violators. The people who are actually committing the violations should be paying for the cost of the service, and that's not happening right now. And it really is unprecedented for a municipal court to be operating in the red, but we are, significantly. So, and as some residents said, when you're dealing with taxpayer money, you should be exploring all options. And, what we're doing as a township committee in terms of exploring as many options as possible to save money is why we've been able to go 3 consecutive years without a tax increase. I mean, what we do up here matters. And, what we're looking at this year is significantly different. So, it's not that I reject the characterization about what we're doing this year is different. It's just factually not correct. It's comparing apples to oranges. So,
yeah, if I could just add on to that, I thought you summarized it beautifully. And as a resident since 1992, there's 2 things that tie into this. One is the truck weigh station that we see out here on Route 78, which I was vehemently against. I supported increasing our existing weigh station that we had and putting the westbound weigh station where it belonged, which was Warren Township. Besides the fact, we were promised over $350,000 a year in revenue generation from that weigh station. To this day, it's barely open. For anyone who goes on Route 78, you can see those signs are always closed. We recently just put a letter together to the DOT and Attorney General's office, questioning that, because bottom line is we're taxpayers. We funded that. The state of New Jersey funded that. It should have been a $10 million weigh station. It was a $70 million plus weigh station. So we're constantly funding those inefficiencies, and we're looking. And I'm not part of the Shared Services Committee, but we're looking to make better use of our tax dollars. I'm not here to fund the violators. I'm not here. I will stand up and fight for a credit card fee that is imposed upon the taxpayers of Greenwich Township for a violator using his credit card. I'm sorry. It just fundamentally will not stand for that. All right? So we need to investigate other options to make our court system more economically viable for Greenwich. And to the second point, the whole police thing, one of the reasons I ran was because the former committee was looking to basically give up their right to run 30% of your budget, of our budget, my budget. Okay? We're not here to do that. I'm sorry. we are the voters. We elect this group of people to make those decisions for us. And when those individuals are thinking, not in the best interest of the taxpayer, I'm jumping in and I'm running for office and I'm going to defend ourselves. So that's why I ran for office, and that's why it's very different than what we're discussing today. So I just wanted to clarify those things. And with regard to the streets, I love the street one. I was going to actually, you're DPW? I was going to,
I am, but that's okay.
I'm sorry, one of you guys are. Yeah, the streets are crumbling. Even in my own development, they're falling apart, and
I mean, your house,
to your point,
if you got a leak and it's coming from the gutter ruining it, if you don't fix the gutter, the house is gonna fall, and that's gonna be a big cost.
it's a lot cheaper to fix the leak.
It's gonna be worse.
Yeah.
Everybody pays for it.
Yeah, understood, and, matter of fact, I just signed, I don't know how much it was, but, we need to look at that infrastructure, we need to complete that analysis of our roads. Yep, stitching time saves none, that's what we're here, and that's what, you just saw today, we're fighting over, $30,000, which correlates to half a cent, $60,000 is another penny on your tax bill, so, thank you again, Mike, for bringing that to our attention, but we are looking into that. Thank you.
Okay. Motion, anything else, or a motion?
Oh, yeah, the contract. Sorry about that.
I'm going to have, if we can authorize me to file an answer in the interim, or an extension before the insurance company responds to whether they're going to represent us or not. Because I know since they came in the same day as our last meeting, we had to leave it to a partial case. So I just need basically the authority to prepare the answer or the extension until we hear from the insurance company on what.
As to whether they're going
Yeah, we sent it to the insurance.
Okay, because you still haven't, when's the answer due?
It's a, it
Okay.
was remanded from the county.
Oh, okay.
We get an extension of.
Okay,
that answer.
all right,
First,
okay.
first.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
And, well, Kim told me we already did that with the way.
Okay, all right.
Attorney review of both of those two contracts.
Yeah.
Finish that.
And you also authorized a deposit that
Right.
required
Right.
that contract.
Right.
So that can be covered.
So you need, I'll make a motion authorizing township attorney to, secure, or to ensure that, responsive pleading is filed.
A second.
Comment? Roll call?
Bailey?
Yes.
Adams?
Yes.
Warren?
Yes.
Yes. Nothing else? Motion to adjourn the meeting?
Take the motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I need to sit out.